Hey everyone, Jesus Christ Western Channel Sanchi Prime here, and right now I'm gonna set the record straight. So just so y'all know, straightforward and blunt, to the point. The reason I went to jail, the charge I was charged with, I was innocent.
Chris Chan posted another video today, and honestly, it's the one I think most people have been waiting for the past few years. While Chris came back yesterday and sang some songs and gave a little church sermon, this video is 8 minutes of nothing but Chris speaking about what's been going on over the past 2 years, diving into what happened between him and Barb, him and Bella, and even him and his new girlfriend. But before Chris gets into anything else, he wants to start by setting the record straight between what happened with him and Barbara. And despite everything Chris had claimed before on the phone calls with Bella, and how he had written in the jail letters that what he did was all good and there was nothing wrong with it, well, now he's simply walking it back and saying that nothing ever happened to begin with.
There never, ever, 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 ever was any sense between Barbara and I, period. I was innocent. I have a few bullet points to go through anyway. Where did we go to end up here? So obviously we got all the haters and fakers and the toxic sinners that tried to manipulate me and so much. That was a mess of good grief right there. Why did y'all have to do that? You all really erroneously misunderstood me, period. And that was a whole mess up. Even y'all with your freaking smut fictions. I know some of you out of the minority that are the worst. Out of the majority being actually good. Okay? You out of the minority. You've written those smut fictions. You shipped me with Barbara. You shipped me with that Snorlax.
Chris calling Barb a Snorlax is honestly one of the funniest things he's ever done, but he lost all credibility right there when he's trying to say that this never happened and it only happened because a bunch of haters and toxic fakes online shipped them together. Now this basically means that people were drawing art and just fantasizing about Chris being with Barb. And again, this goes against what Chris said right before he went into jail when talking with Bella, where he talked about the fanfics have now become real. So basically, he's just trying to say that, he did admit it back then, and he did talk about it, and he went into pretty graphic detail about it, but that doesn't matter now. All that matters is he's coming out now and saying that it was all the haters and toxic fakes who made up this story from day one.
And Barbara was definitely not the perfect mother with me. It was not the perfect mother-daughter relationship there, period. Growing up, there was the times of abuse, even though there was love and caring in there and throughout. But that was a whole different kettle of fish right there. But yeah, the bullying, the terrorizing, and all that, they really fucked me up. I feel so... Just enough said right there.
So as you can imagine, Chris has no actual evidence as to prove why he didn't do all these things that he himself said he did. So he just talks about how Barb was abusive back in the past, and this is something that people have theorized and have pointed out for years, because Barb would always like to keep Chris right under her thumb. However, just because Chris knows this now and he's aware of how Barb treated him in the past, doesn't mean that what you did, Chris, is any more right, but at the same time, that's how he's going to try to justify this, by saying that the trolls and everybody, they all convinced him to do it, and because Barb was abusive back in the day, well, she convinced him to do this. He's just trying to push the blame for what he did onto the victim herself, and it's not surprising Chris did this a whole lot in the jail letters, even at one point wishing that Barb kicked the bucket so that he could just go home and stop dealing with all the legal trouble going on. But yeah, if you thought this was going to be anything other than Chris just pointing fingers at everyone else, you'd be sorely mistaken. Now Chris is about to talk about a whole litany of people, and it's some people you don't expect and some you probably will, but nonetheless it's wild that we're going to be finding out a little bit more about Bella Janke, hopefully, knowing that she wants her name so desperately off the internet. So let's see what Chris says about that.
But hey, you're never going to make me commit, period. And that was the attention that Bella had in all her chopped and screwed up recordings, with all the attention and manipulating me into that. But hey, I foreknew she was going to do that. I tested her. At the time, I treated her like, just as a friend, try to get her to be on the good side. But obviously she failed. Just like I foreknew the relationship between Dylan and Taylor, that was not gonna last. He abused her. I gave her support on that live stream when I went on there. Just support and kindness, because I appreciated her as an artist and an individual, which was more than I could say for Dylan at the time.
Now that's something really important that I think a lot of people forget about, is that Isabella Janke, the girl who recorded the call of Chris admitting to doing all this stuff, her main goal was to be the greatest troll in all of Christery. Why? Because she wanted to end Christery. She wanted Chris to end it all, you know what I'm saying? But she didn't care about Barbara. She was letting that stuff go on. It didn't matter to her. All she cared about was herself being looked at as some amazing troll in Chris's life, and how sad is that? But before he gets to talking more about Bella, we have to talk about Dylan Thomas's love life, because Chris finds that very important to put in here, claiming that Dylan's an alleged abuser and all this stuff. I didn't really see this one coming, but I guess Chris has just been holding this in for quite a while here.
But yeah, Bella was gonna actually record me and Fifi having done something at the hotel had I actually made it to Bab's Con. But fortunately, that didn't quite happen. She one way or another, she would have got me into jail or tried to get me to commit on the whole different day. But hey, she failed. She didn't do that. I took the initiative in my own hands, so I let divine intervention, timing, and everything just let me go to jail, spend my time suffering, and spend the time for your sins, you fucking toxic ones.
For our sins. Chris did what he did and got sent to jail for our sins, ladies and gentlemen. This is the ultimate turnaround. Chris is trying to say that what he did for the greater good of all the people of the world, you know? If he didn't go to jail and all that stuff, the world would be in a much worse place right now. And obviously, I think this is just after him reading the Bible, seeing what Jesus did for his people and died on the cross. And Chris is like, well, I technically did the same thing by sacrificing some of my precious time doing Sonichu stuff by sitting behind bars. Chris says that Bella was going to try to get him put in jail no matter what, because he was going to go to that convention in Washington State right before he got arrested, and at that convention there was this girl who Chris mentioned, called her Fifi, who really liked Chris actually, and they were going to hook up, but Chris really wasn't down with it, although Bella was trying to convince him to be down with it so that she could record them two being together, and then I guess send it to the police. The girl in question was 19 years old when all this took place, and despite it being legal, Chris himself took the initiative to go, nah, just not my thing, she's like too young, yada yada yada, and he didn't do it. However, he did admit to Bella what he was doing with Barb, and it's... I don't know, man. Like I said, he was so gung-ho to divulge any type of details that he could about his relationship with Barb. I mean, we know some really sinister things that he admitted to doing. I'm talking like the specific acts he committed on Barb. And again, he was so confident in saying all this to Bella, kind of like he was bragging to her. But here we are 2 years later, and he's got to save face somehow, so he's just trying to say that he never did any of this stuff. I don't know, you guys be the judge on that one. But let's get back to see what Chris is saying about Bella.
And I meditated and learned everything. I am Jesus Christ reincarnated. I am the one avatar of all existence. And I'm going to see that there is nothing but good and righteousness and light-powered individuals, and encouraging all the neutrals to be good. Period. Just like I'm trying to do in this video and statement right now, setting the record straight. But I was proven innocent. And they couldn't place me anywhere, which is why they kept me in jail for so long, because they didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know what to do with somebody was freaking autistic that you weren't putting your words in. Ish. They didn't know what to do. They just kept me in jail. They didn't know where to place me. But fortunately, they did know where to place me eventually, so that happened.
Chris says that he was found innocent, and they knew he was innocent, but they had nowhere to send him, so they just kept him in jail that long. Honestly, if they knew he was innocent, why not just send him back home? Because if this is an innocent man who didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't have any problem putting him back into the house where his supposed victim is. Yeah, the charges were dropped recently, but it seems like the jail just had no idea what to do with Chris in general. Obviously, if they just kept him there because they had nowhere else to send him, maybe that makes sense, but like I said, if he's so innocent, why not just send him home? So who knows, so many questions to be answered here. However, at the end of that little clip we just watched, you can hear a door close, and it just seems like it's probably his new girlfriend, or his new friend as he puts it in the end of the video. But yeah, someone's there overseeing Chris's video making.
I'm safe and doing better, okay? But I did nothing wrong, and only the certain individuals online, they had wrongfully manipulated and controlled me and my own narrative, but no more. I take control of my own narrative from now on, not you. Not you lot of haters and fakers. I am a much better individual than that. Y'all should have known better of me than that. That is enough with the mislabelings and the misconceptions. That's enough. And the whole lot of the set's commentary was me being misled by the suggestion of those individuals, especially those theoretical exes of mine. And I was proven innocent by court of law and released. Simple as that. And also, just putting this out there, just do not be an ableist. I mean, those of you neurotypical, thinking you're able, whatever, there is at least one thing that is totally disabled about you, period. So do not hate others for things that you are yourself, period.
Chris tries to say that, don't be ableist, because I think in his mind he thinks a lot of people just pick on him simply because he's high-functioning autistic. However, a lot of people just pick on Chris because of what he's done in the past, and especially now what he's done to his mother. So, despite him keep saying he's innocent, like I said, we were all there. We were all there in 2021 when Chris was saying all these things on the phone to Bella, which he now claims he was manipulated to say. Really doesn't seem like that. He was really excited to talk about what the hell he did with Barbara, and then in the jail letters he doubled down on it and justified everything he did because it made Barbara's soul younger and all these things. And there in the jail cell he had no one to manipulate him. There was no outside force telling him say this, say that, so that came from his own brain. This is a classic Chris Chan attempt at retconning his own past, and obviously, like I said, people are going to have their opinions on this one way or the other. Some people may say, well, since he's out of jail it means he didn't do it, but other people may say, yeah, we've heard it from his own mouth so many times that he did this, plus why would they even keep him in here for 2 years to begin with? Nonetheless, let's go on and see what he says next.
There is no need to hate on anyone, or even yourself. A flaw is a flaw, a blessing is a blessing, and a flaw can be a blessing in disguise. So you meditate on that, and stop hating for such a flaw. And I am a living, breathing individual, and I am not to be objectified in any way anymore. But yeah, in that, Bella was the real sex criminal, and that she really wanted to try to get me in something. She's the real criminal. Fucking bitch! Calling her out! Call her out! Isabella Janke. She's the real sex criminal, period. She did a whole mess of adulteration and manipulation and things in her own words and attitude and insinuations and everything. Okay?
So this time, Chris is actually correct. What the things he's saying about Bella, why she's a criminal and this, that, the third, I mean, he's just talking about it in the lens of what she did to him, and in that sense, yeah, it was really messed up. All she wanted to do was see Chris end it all. She wanted to see Chris, just continue to abuse Barb and abuse people. But all in all, from what we've heard about Bella, she is an absolute monster. This woman was cooking hamsters, live hamsters, boiling them and eating them. She was was giving her roommate estrogen just to see what happened to him, even though I don't even think the guy wanted to take it. He was just a timid dude. I mean, all the people in Bella's circle are definitely kind of messed up. But yeah, Bella, what Chris is talking about here about her being a criminal and all this stuff, we've heard some terrible things about Isabella Janke. So Chris is hitting the nail right on the head here, although he's only thinking about it from his own perspective. But like, little does Chris know, he couldn't be more right. The thing with Isabella Janke, though, is this. One of my first ever videos I made on this channel was taken down for a privacy complaint just for talking about Isabella Janke. And her family has helped her tremendously in trying to take videos down and try to just scrub her name off the internet entirely, because they don't want her to have to face consequences for all this messed up stuff she's done. And not even talking about the Chris stuff, we've already gotten into it. She does a lot of terrible things to people and animals. No, that should never fly, and it should be well known. And now we get to the part of the video that I think most people have been waiting for. This is where Chris talks about his supposed new girlfriend, the Cabbage Patch Kid, the one who a lot of people have like really prayed that is not underage because she looks very young, and Chris goes into all the details here. So if you're waiting to find out more about that, well, here's your moment, ladies and gentlemen.
But to end this on a more positive note, so the girl y'all had seen me with in the past few weeks, I'll tell you a little something about her. She's a friend of mine, and I refer to her only as Flutter, because she likes Fluttershy, okay? I met her in Lynchburg. She got in touch with me while I was in jail. And we managed to meet. We managed to bond and connect with each other as friends. And she is literally 30 years old despite her physicality. But anyway, just pretty much straightforward right there, letting you know about that. And I just felt like I just needed to say all that, clear the air. There is nothing wrong with being associated with me, period. I am sick and tired of being blocked by anyone, including and especially by those of whom I appreciate. And I do have friends that do have great appreciation of me, which more than I can say than some. I mean, you all, even Megan Schroeder, had your chance to actually be kind and compassionate and friends with me for a longer run. That's enough said right there. I just felt like I need to get that off. Otherwise I might have had a sleepless night.
So there you go. Chris confirms that the woman we've been seeing him around with is named Flutter, and she is 30 years old. So that puts to bed any of the worries that people had that this was like an underage girl, because she does still look very young, as Chris brought up himself. He also brings up a theory that I've been throwing out for the past few weeks, and that's that she got in touch with him while Chris was in jail. So is this woman a troll? I mean, who knows? Her name is fucking Flutter. Like, it's obviously something that's gonna make Chris happy because it's named after a pony. But yeah, they started talking when Chris was in jail, and now Chris is out, and they seemingly are staying in the same place together. I say that because you can hear the door closing wherever Chris is at, and it just would seem to add up. Now, are they a couple? Chris only refers to this person as a friend, but at the end of the day, he then compares her to how Megan Schroeder should have treated him. So yeah, I'm starting to think this might actually be a couple. And Chris then, as I already brought up, brings up Megan, and he tries to act like, you know, oh, she was just like good to me like this person was, and trying to act like Megan should have been better to Chris, all the while Chris was just incredibly creepy to her back in the day. It's one of those things where it's like, alright, that's the scary part about Chris. He doesn't understand how much he was creepy to somebody, how awkward and how uncomfortable he made them feel. All these years later, he's only upset about the fact that they didn't look at him for him and just accept him doing all this stuff and be nice to him. It's not how the world works, Chris, but in Chris's own world, he just wants to be given anything he wants, and what he wants is friendship. Doesn't matter how he gets it, but people should just accept it. This was a very eye-opening video. We learned about who this woman is. We learned about what Chris thinks about what happened with Barb. And like I've been saying for months, he's just going to try to sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. And that's exactly what he's doing here. But him calling out Isabella Janke is something I think we need a whole lot more of. But I guess that's all for another day. Chris posted this video only about like 24 hours after he posted his last one. So who knows? Chris seems like he's coming back to everyday videos. And we should find out a lot more about what's going on, even more than we did in this video over the next coming days. One thing I didn't bring up, even though Chris said it a few times, like I think it was the first word of the video, was he calls himself Jesus Christ-chan, not Jesus, Jesus, because maybe he likes the pronunciation of that version better, but who knows, who knows. Chris has always been one to just try to like make little tweaks to already known things and claim it as his own, so again, we'll have to see where everything goes. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I imagine this story ain't going to slow down anytime soon, so until the next one, I'll see y'all then, and stay safe everybody. Have a great rest of your night.